In just a few decades, South Korea's GDP per capita of merely $156 in the 1960s surged to over $31,000 by 2020. From humble beginnings to becoming a global export powerhouse, the Korean narrative is an enigma in the annals of economic history. But amid this grand tale, intricate threads weave stories less told. Beneath the surface of numbers and milestones does another reality await.
Despite all the efforts put in by the government to boost employment, things are not looking up for those searching for jobs.
South Korea is facing a population crisis. The country's birth rate is now the lowest on earth.
Overall unemployment rate for last year was 3.8%, its highest since 2001.
What secrets lie in the heart of the Korean dream? And what is the true cost of the miracle on the Han River? The miracle of South Korea. In the early 20th century, Korea faced a tumultuous era that would leave an indelible mark on its history. From 1910 to 1945, the Korean people endured the oppressive yoke of Japanese colonial rule, a period characterized by forced labor, cultural assimilation, and unimaginable hardships. Koreans were subjected to forced labor on an unprecedented scale. Millions toiled in mines, factories, and construction projects, often enduring grueling conditions, long hours, and meager wages. The physical and emotional abuse they suffered at the hands of Japanese overseers was a daily reality. Korea's rich resources were exploited for Japan's benefit. Timber, minerals, and agricultural products were stripped from the land, leaving Korea economically drained and impoverished. Cultural assimilation policies sought to erase Korea's identity. The Korean language was banned, replaced by Japanese. Korean history and traditions were suppressed, and teaching Korean history was forbidden in schools. Even Korean names were replaced with Japanese ones. The Japanese controlled education, with a curriculum designed to instill loyalty to Japan. Then, in 1945, World War II came to an end, bringing liberation to Korea from Japanese colonial rule. The Korean peninsula was divided along the 38th parallel into two occupation zones, with the Soviet Union in the north and the United States in the south. This division would set the stage for the Korean War in 1950, leading to the creation of two separate Korean states. It was a war that tested the endurance and resilience of the Korean people. After 3 years of conflict, an armistice agreement was signed in 1953, but a formal peace treaty was never reached. The result? The Korean peninsula remained divided to this day. The Korean War left an indomitable mark on both North and South Korea. The North became a closed, authoritarian regime, while the South embarked on a remarkable journey of economic development. In the aftermath of the Korean War, South Korea's GDP per capita was a mere $158. Enter Park Chung-hee, whose vision catalyzed the nation's transformation. Under Park Chung-hee's stewardship in the 1960s and 70s, South Korea's GDP surged from $3.1 billion in 1962 to $230 billion by 1989. A series of rigorous government policies were set into motion, focusing heavily on export-led industrialization. Central to this economic miracle were the Chaebols, the behemoth family-owned conglomerates. Names like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG began to make waves. Receiving immense government support, these Chaebols enjoyed tax incentives, protection against foreign competition, and access to cheap loans. By 1980, exports, largely driven by them, had skyrocketed to $17 billion, a leap from just $30 million in 1962. Education was another focal point. Park's policies emphasized skills crucial for a tech-driven future. By 1995, South Korea had an impressive literacy rate of over 98%, and more than 95% of its youth completed secondary education. Today, powered by Park's foresight and the Chaebols' relentless drive, South Korea stands tall with a GDP per capita exceeding $30,000, making it a paragon of economic resilience. The dark truth behind the miracle growth. Yet, as the adage goes, not all that glitters is gold. Behind this impressive facade of progress lies a myriad of challenges birthed from this very miracle: dependency on Chaebols. Chaebols, the sprawling South Korean conglomerates, were the architects of the nation's dramatic post-war revival. As South Korea emerged from the ruins of conflict, these family-owned giants channeled investments, generated jobs, and propelled the nation to the forefront of the global economy. But decades into this success story, a different narrative unfolds. Today, the very size and influence of Chaebols cast long shadows over South Korea's economic landscape. With 4 of the top Chaebols accounting for over 50% of South Korea's GDP, SMEs and startups often find themselves struggling to break ground. This monopolistic dominance not only limits market entry, but also poses barriers to innovation and diversification. For many budding businesses, the Chaebol presence means less access to resources, investors, and even talents. The question then arises: can South Korea strike a balance? A balance where Chaebols can coexist without overshadowing the smaller players, fueling a diverse and innovative economic future. Toxic work culture and burnout. In the glowing sea of office lights, South Korea's ambition shines brilliantly. Its impressive skyline and tech dominance are testaments to its tenacity. Yet, as digits on the clock race forward, they tell a different story. The country's employees, among the OECD's most industrious, clock in over 2,000 work hours annually. But this dedication, a cornerstone of the nation's rise, has cast shadows unseen amidst the bright city lights. Burnout, fatigue, an increasing tide of mental health concerns. The relentless rhythm of work has taken a toll, echoing silently in the bustling streets and serene temples. In the land of the morning calm, an insidious storm brews, known colloquially as gwarosa, or overwork. South Korea's toxic work culture is a pressing reality many face. But what fuels this cycle of relentless grind? For starters, the specter of high youth unemployment looms large. In a nation that values job security and societal recognition, young Koreans find themselves in a competitive frenzy, vying for limited positions in prestigious firms. This fervor begins early. The intense academic pressure, epitomized by the rigorous Sunyung college entrance exam, sets the tone. It's a race where second place often feels like the last. Yet these societal pressures come at a profound human cost. Among the direst consequences is South Korea's soaring suicide rate, especially among the youth, making it an alarming concern in an otherwise prosperous nation. Gwarosa, the tireless labor, is a reflection of a society's ambition, but it also stands as a stark reminder that unbridled ambition can exact a heavy price: rising income inequality. But the struggles of young South Koreans don't end at the office door. The towering skyscrapers and bustling streets of Seoul silently narrate another tale: the widening chasm of income inequality. The whirlwind of urbanization, especially in Seoul, heralded an era of modernity and progress. However, beneath this gleaming surface lies a statistic that's alarming. Seoul's real estate prices have surged by over 250% in the past 2 decades. Amidst this backdrop, young Koreans grapple with a daunting reality. With an average apartment in the city costing more than $720,000 and average annual incomes hovering around $34,000, home ownership appears to be a distant dream for many. This evolving urban narrative isn't just about economics. It's a reflection of dreams deferred, of a generation grappling with disillusionment. It underscores the tension between the promises of a prosperous nation and the stark economic realities its younger citizens confront. Generational pressures. As the world lauds South Korea's rapid ascent on the global stage, beneath the surface simmers a tale of generational contrasts. The backdrop to this story: stark data points that narrate a silent crisis. With one of the world's lowest birth rates, a shift is palpable. In previous decades, the nation echoed with the laughter of children, but today's playgrounds paint a more subdued picture. The shadow of preceding generations looms large. For the youth, matching their parents' achievements is no small feat, especially when unemployment rates for those aged 15-29 hover around 10%. This confluence of challenges births the narrative of the Sampo generation. Coined from the Korean word signifying 3 forfeitures, it refers to the reluctance or inability of young Koreans to date, marry, and bear children. And it's not just about personal choice. Economic constraints, exemplified by the formidable housing market, often force young Koreans to re-evaluate these milestones, sometimes even giving them up altogether. In this juxtaposition of past achievements and present challenges lies a critical conundrum. How can Korea's future pioneers carve out a path where they're not merely racing against time, but truly defining their destinies? From its phoenix-like ascent post-war to the modern challenges of the 21st century, South Korea remains a nation at a crossroads. The country's historic achievements now dance in tandem with fresh challenges, demanding new solutions. Efforts to diversify the economy economy, promote startups, regulate working hours, and even offer housing grants for young families showcase a nation willing to reinvent itself. As a Korean proverb wisely states, starting is half the task. South Korea's journey is ongoing, a narrative being written with every passing day. How do you think? Or what's missing from our video? Please share in your idea in the comment below. In our next video, we turn our gaze to the land of the rising sun, diving deep into the looming question, why might Japan disappear soon? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you later.